All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out this evening. This meeting is our regular meeting, which is continued from this past Monday, May 5th. And we will just pick up where we left off. We have Resolution TC 30-142 on the floor, and that is a resolution to approve a tax abatement agreement for the development of real property known as 75 Merritt Boulevard. We have with us tonight to address us briefly our town attorney, Dan Chopik. We also have Sue Morandi, who is the HR director for Cub Technologies.
Cub Tech.
Cub Tech, otherwise known. And we welcome Ms. Morandi as well. Attorney Chopik?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. With the help of the chairman and Mr. Marsh, we were able to get an agreement together that got signed late this afternoon on behalf of Cub Tech. So there is an agreement. It's a 20-year tax abatement. First 10 years is fixed based on the tax bill for this July, and then the second 10 years are reducing abatements and taking into effect any additional improvements to the property and any general revaluation, town revaluation. So those numbers, those values will change. The values for the first 10 years remain the same. They're obligated to spend at least $3 million in improvements to the building. And unless there are other questions, I think that pretty well covers it.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to express my gratitude to Councilman Marsh, who chaired our tax planning committee, and Mr. Colohan, and was it Mr. Shively? Were you on the tax? No. Who's on the tax planning with us? I forgot already.
Councilman Malazzi's husband. Fred Petrosi.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're the other council person. Yeah. So the others will not be named, but they'll be revered for their hard work in getting this approval. And I do want to thank Cub Technologies and their counsel for working on this morning, noon, and night so that we could have this in place tonight for the council to vote. And with an affirmative vote, we look forward to Cub Tech acquiring the property, making this agreement binding, and then becoming part of our community. Before we take that vote, or I ask for a commentary, I am going to do a little housekeeping and ask the clerk to take the roll for the record.
Mike Buswell. Mary Isaac.
Here.
Michael Colohan.
Here.
Bill Mecca. Ann Sather.
Here.
Jennifer Winchell.
Here.
Veronica Lenzen.
Here.
Richard Wolf.
Here.
Jason Marsh.
Here.
Anthony Dorsey.
Here.
Ashley Gaudiano.
Here.
Carl Massaro. John Foreman.
Here.
Joe Pifko.
Here.
Scott Wick.
Here.
Joy Cologne. Steve Lemoyne.
Here.
Kelly Malazzi. Tony Cinto. Kevin Shively.
Here.
Nicole Satin.
Here.
And I believe Bill Mecca just walked in.
Yeah. Here.
Thank you.
Well, we officially have a quorum. It's good to note. So are there any discussion or questions about the agreement or the resolution? Ms. Isaac?
What is the timing for the improvements? Is that going to be done up front before the company moves into it, or is that going to be an ongoing process?
You'd have to ask.
Oh, you go, boy. I believe it's going to be an ongoing process, so I don't have all the details regarding that, but our plan is to do work to be able to get into the building and then continue as we're in there. You're welcome.
Anyone else? Okay, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll for the vote, please?
Mary Isaac.
Yes.
Michael Colohan.
Yes.
Bill Mecca,
Yes.
Ann Sather,
Yes.
Jennifer Winchell,
Yes.
Veronica Lenzen,
Yes.
Richard Wolf,
Yes.
Jason Marsh,
Yes.
Anthony Dorsey,
Yes.
Ashley Goniano,
Yes.
Carl Massaro. Yes. John Foreman,
Yes.
Joe Pivko,
Yes.
Scott Wick,
Yes.
Joy is absent, Steve Lemoyne,
Yes.
Tony Sinto,
Yes.
Kevin Shively,
Yes.
Nicole San.
Yes.
Thank you all very much. Would we need emergency legislation for this?
Help.
It would help. Is there such a motion to make this resolution emergency legislation?
So moved.
Thank you. Do we have a
Second.
second? Any discussion? All right, can we make this emergency legislation by unanimous consent? No objections?
No
Okay.
objection.
All right, it is made emergency legislation. Thank you for coming tonight, Ms. Morandi. Good luck, and we'll see you down the road. First Selectman Tesoro.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for voting for this. I think this is going to be I know it's going to be a great addition for the town. I've made several visits to Cuptech, and it's so impressive, and I hope at some point all of you can take a tour of the facilities and see exactly what they do there and how important this business is. And it's, I just, again, say thank you to all of you.
And I want to tell the first selectman, you weren't here when I was handing out various thank yous to tax committee, but certainly, with your guidance and Rena Bacalar's hard work, we reached this night. We're very grateful. Thank you. I don't think there's any other business from our May 5th meeting. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second? Adjourned by unanimous consent? Yes, okay, we are adjourned.
No objection.
The regular, thank you, Kevin, and the May 5th meeting is adjourned. We'll start the All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Trumbull Town Council budget meeting for the fiscal year 2025-2026. Everybody kindly rise for a moment of silence and reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
Flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Call the roll, please.
Michael Buswell,
Here.
Mary Isaac,
Here.
Michael Colahan,
Here.
Bill Mecca,
Here.
Ann Sather,
Here.
Jennifer Winchell,
Here.
Veronica Lenzen,
Here.
Richard Wolf,
Here.
Jason Marsh,
Here.
Anthony Dorsey,
Here.
Ashley Gaudiano,
Here.
John Foreman,
Here.
Joe Pifko,
Here.
Scott Wick, Joy Colon, Steve Lemoyne,
Here.
Kelly Malazzi, Tony Sinto, Kevin Shively,
Here.
and Nicole Sen.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum. We have one resolution to move to the floor. Mr. Dorsey, would you move it, please?
Certainly, Mr. Chairman. Resolution TC30-143, to consider and act upon a resolution which would adopt the annual budget for the town of...
Read page 2. Flip it.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Resolution TC30-143, be it resolved that the annual budget for the town of Trumbull for fiscal year beginning July 1, 2025 and ending June 30th, 2026, as recommended by the Board of Finance and amended by the Town Council, be and the same is hereby adopted, and that the sum stated therein as amended for their respective purposes be and the same are hereby appropriated.
Second.
Thank you. So we have a spreadsheet of the budget as recommended, actually proposed by the First Selectman and recommended by the Board of Finance. The total budget recommended to us is $225,106,827. And we will consider the budget department by department. Town Council has certain powers under the town charter. A bare majority of those of us present and voting can reduce any line item in part or in full. However, any additions to the budget as recommended requires a 2/3 vote of the full council, or a total number of 14 votes, to add back or to add new items that were removed by the Board of Finance but originally proposed by the First Selectman. So with those guidelines, we can begin to discuss tonight's budget. And so we will start on page 1 with the general fund. And general government, I will ask the council members if there are any motions with respect to first the town council. All right, next is the Trumbull Nature Commission. Next is the Ethics Commission. The First Selectman's Office. Probate. Elections. The Finance Department. The Board of Finance. Tax Assessor's Office. The Board of Assessment Appeals. Tax Collector's Office. Purchasing Department. Office of the Treasurer. Technology. Ms. Satin.
Yes, I'd like to propose to add the $40,750 back to line item 01012600. 581888.
And is it 40,000 or 40,750?
40,750.
Okay. Do we have a second? Second. Thank you. Discussion on that motion?
Bill said he's going to be coming back for a supplemental, so I'd like to see it transparent in the budget, or at least as much as we can get in. Yeah, speak to it.
Okay. And these are for access points, I think, for communications in town hall, is that right? Laptops?
That's correct.
Laptops. All the same to
Can
me.
Bill still speak to this, or no?
Bill's here and he could still speak to it.
Yeah. Mr. Chen, I know you're running the board for this meeting. We appreciate it. Would you like to comment?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I wasn't expecting to speak, but I'm happy to do so. The funds that were allocated in the capital outlay for the replacement of laptops and replacement of our wireless access points was removed by the Board of Finance, and they asked me to make a supplemental appropriation for that. I suppose at the end of the day, I don't really have a preference on how we get the funding for this, but it'll be easier for us to have it in the budget for sure. The replacement of workstations and laptops is really important for Windows 10 upgrades, which expire end of life this October. And so we have to make the purchase of additional laptops to be ahead of that expiration date to stay up to date with our desktop software. And for our wireless access points, the end of support for that is July of 2026. I believe it's July 21st of 2026, which would not leave a lot of time in next year's fiscal budget to purchase, acquire, and install the second half of those access points. So the 15,000 would get us half, and that would get us half of what we need for those access points. And at some point, I'd either have to come for a supplemental appropriation on the remainder of 15,000, or I've been speaking with the finance director. She would allow an early purchase of that prior to July 1 of 2026, so we can finish that project.
All right, thank you very much. Anybody else have a comment on it? All right, we have to call for a vote on that motion. Can we approve it by unanimous consent, or do we need a roll call? We need a roll call. Madam Clerk?
Mike Buswell,
Yes.
Mary Isaac. Oops, yes. Michael Colahan,
Yes.
Bill Mecca,
Yes.
Ann Sather,
Yes.
Jennifer Winchell,
Yes.
Veronica Lenzen,
Yes.
Richard Wolf,
Yes.
Jason Marsh,
Yes.
Anthony Dorsey,
Yes.
Ashley Gaudiano,
Yes.
Carl Massaro, John Foreman,
Yes.
Joe Pifko,
Yes.
Scott Wick,
Yes.
Joy Joy is absent, Steve Lemoyne,
Yes.
Tony Cinto, Kevin Shively,
Yes.
and Nicole Satin.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, that motion passes with the requisite number of votes. Is there anything else in technology? All right, we will move to town attorneys. Do we need a new total? A new total for technology?
It's $1,470,024.
All right, thank you. Now town attorneys. Yeah, human resources.
Let's come back to employee benefits.
Yes, we will come back to employee benefits. Office of the Town Clerk. Town Hall. Planning and zoning. Economic development. Inland wetlands. Conservation Commission. Transit District.
You have to come back to general government.
Okay, we'll come back for a total for general government when we do employee benefits
At the end.
at the end. All right, public safety. Police department. Animal control. Emergency medical services. Fire marshal. The fire marshal, fire hydrants. Mr. Marsh?
Just want to acknowledge Michael London. We miss him.
Yes, yes. He hasn't been here for a while, but we'll never forget his dislike for the money we pay for fire hydrants in town. But I have an uncle who used to talk about insurance and said, you pay for it and hope you never have to use it. Same thing applies to fire hydrants. How about the building official? Emergency management. Do a total. Public safety. We need a total.
It stayed the same.
It stays the same. Okay. All right, the Department of Public Works. Public Works streetlights. I missed the director. You can't miss the director. Are there any motions regarding the Public Works director? All right, Public Works streetlights. Public Works highway. Dangerous tonight. Highway snow removal. Public Works building maintenance. Fleet maintenance. The recycling center. Town engineer. All right.
Public
That's
Works stayed the same.
Public Works total stays the same. We'll now go to the health area. The first section is the health department. Next is vital statistics. Nursing seniors. All right, public health number stays the same. Go to social services and human services. Wow. All right, social services department. Any motions there? The Mary Sherlock Counseling Center. Senior Citizens Services. No motions, the total stays the same. We will now move to the education section. First section is called education. Are there any motions there?
I don't
Ms. Mariano?
Thank you. I don't actually have a motion. I just wanted to take a second to acknowledge all of the parents who are in the room. I'm assuming for rugby. And many of you have sent us emails, and I hope that you've gotten responses from some of us, but just wanted to say thank you for your advocacy on this. The control over rugby doesn't sit with us, right? What we get to do, as Chairman Massaro said, is vote on the budget for Board of Education, and then what the Board of Education and Dr. Semmel and our Board of Ed choose to do with that is up to them. So I would encourage you, with them sitting in the room, to continue your advocacy with them. But I did just want to say thank you for reaching out and for advocating for that sport.
Mr. Marsh?
I also don't have a motion with the education budget, but I would note that we are voting to approve the Board of Finance increase of $600,000, and I hope that the Board of Ed fulfills its stated promises to look for cost efficiencies, particularly with the busing and other areas to help offset some of the costs going forward.
Well, that's certainly the expectation. Everybody should understand that by state statute, the Board of Ed, once its budget is appropriated, can realign its expenditures as it sees necessary. And you know, we've always, over the years, had great confidence that our boards of ed and our superintendents do the best they can for our students, teachers, and administrators. It's quite a bit of money that they're charged with, so we hope and expect that they'll do a great job with the funds we appropriate tonight. Next section is the school nurses. And then non-public school. Trumbull Business Education Initiative. Trumbull Community Television. Our education total remains unchanged. We'll next go to libraries. This is the library section. Any motions? Library number remains unchanged. We'll go to recreation and parks versus public events. Next is parks. Oh, motion, Ms. Isaac.
So everybody can wake up. In line item 522205, youth program expenses, to restore the $25,000 for the community theater.
Second.
Second.
Thank you.
The Board of Finance did not have the P&L when they voted on this, and they thought that the program was self-sufficient, and it's not, unfortunately, at this time. So hopefully as it gains more speed, it will become self-sufficient, but right now it's not.
All right. Any discussion on it? Okay. I'm sorry. Ms. Satin, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm a big supporter of this only because it is community, right? It's a community theater, and we had anybody from an 80-year-old gentleman, I think, on stage last go around to a 5-year-old child. And I think anytime we can get the community together and, you know, presenting something of value to all of us, it's worthwhile.
Ms. Guardiano?
Thank you. And I would just add to that, you know, we spend endless amounts of money on our sports, which we all have said is valuable. This is an arts program, and I think supporting the arts is equally as valuable. And I think when we started this initiative, we were all clear that at some point we, you know, wanted to see it become closer and closer to self-sustaining. But the reality is it's been a year. Right, they've done 2 productions, and I think we have to give it a little bit of time. And $25,000 in a $225 million budget is some teeny tiny percent that I can't do the math on quickly. So I would just urge us, right, to look at everything we've done and invested in on our sports and our fields and all of these other really important priority areas, and think about what $25,000 looks like and means and could mean for the people who participate in this program and everybody in town who attends that performance every year.
Mr. Dorsey.
Through the chair, I'm just a little confused. I mean, I understand the importance of community theater, but we went through several rounds of hearings, committees, and I believe in the finance committee of town council, it was said that it was self-sufficient. I don't understand how now all of a sudden it's now labeled as not self-sufficient. So I'm struggling a little bit with the timing of this.
Answer?
Ms. Isaac? Go ahead.
As I said, the Board of Finance did not receive the P&L. So they thought that it was self-sufficient, and year one it was close, year one it was not. And no ARPA funds were available, which they thought were. So, and that's what they had said at their meeting. If they had the P&L, they would have voted with some education on sufficient or not sufficient. They didn't think, they thought it was. So, and the community theater women were not at the meeting to speak to it. So I'm
Then
just
someone
bringing it
should
up
be
from
able to
that.
speak to that. I just feel like it's the last minute, and that information is important to present during budget hearings.
It was sent to the town council.
Well, we passed it through the finance committee of town council is my only point.
Mrs. Tesoro, did you want to speak to this?
Thank you. If I could, just for a moment. I'm going to continue to advocate for this program. I did put the additional $25,000 into the budget, and I'm not going to speak to, whether the information wasn't forthcoming on time. If it wasn't, we apologize for that. But as we said, this program is only in its second year. It would like to be self-sustaining at some time, and we hope that it is. But it does provide a sense of community for those who participate in the program and for the joy that it brings to the community. I don't know if many of you saw A Christmas Carol. They did the same production the second year, really in order to save money. That was the point of it. Probably didn't turn out to work out that well. But we also deal with the holidays in December, and it becomes difficult as you get closer to the holidays for people to have time to go do everything they want to do during the holiday period. So there's some impact to the timing as well. But as I said, I'm going to continue to advocate for this because I just think it's a great program. So I hope that you will put the $25,000 back in. Thank you.
Miss Isaac, go ahead.
If the 25,000 is not put in, will the program still go on and they'll have to come for a supplemental? Or will this kill the program?
Well, I certainly hope it doesn't kill the program. If they have to come back for a supplemental, they'll have to come back for a supplemental. If that's denied, then it could end the program, which I think, again, not giving a program like this time to grow, I don't think is the best way to treat the people that want to participate and our community members that would like to come and enjoy a program during the holidays.
Mr. Marsh, go ahead.
Just for reference sake, the additional money amounts to 0.01% of our total budget. So, I mean, we're arguing over literal pennies. Yeah, well, I didn't want to take my shoes and socks off in the council chambers.
I understand the penny concept, but that's how budgets grow. Can I ask, was the show in the red this past year?
Yes.
Give us some numbers now.
Yeah, year one was, they were down 10,000, and, 10,000, and year two, they were down 30,000. But I believe that was because they did the same program. So the ticket sales were down. They did charge expenses, participation fee for the kids. They were trying to get rid of not having to do the rights again for the program to save money that way and reuse some of the sets. But the ticket sales definitely were down, and I assume it was from that. They were 13,000 less, which definitely would make up a difference.
Mrs. Tesoro?
I'm just here for a couple of questions.
Oh, okay. All right, so Mr. Wick, go ahead.
Thank you. So, I'll be honest, if I go back like 20 years or so, I never even heard of community theater, and this has nothing to do with Trumbull for a moment. But when we were looking around for a place to rent, one of the towns we were looking at had a community theater. I'm not a theater person, but I thought to myself, that's pretty freaking cool, right? That they have a community theater and people can do theater things. Like I said, I'm not a theater person, but it left an impression on me in that town that was a cool town to be at. And I don't want to dismiss the dollars and cents, because the chairman's right. Every dollar we spend is important for this town. And I totally agree with everyone that said people who participate in the program, people who attend the performances, they all benefit. I just wanted to throw out for everyone to think about, we actually all benefit, because every time someone looks at the town of Trumbull and says, that's a pretty darn cool place to live at, we all benefit, because now our houses increase in value, increase in demand, because more people want to be here. So I wanted to throw that out to everyone, because like I said, 20 years ago, I didn't know what community theater is. I'm happy we have it. I'm excited we have it. Quite certain I'll never act in one. But I know this town is richer and more attractive as a result. So I'm voting in favor. Thanks.
Any other comments? Mr. Wolf, and then Mr. Foreman.
Hi, Vicky. Do you have any idea of how many more years we'd have to support this in order for it to break even?
First, I was going to ask you if you were going to ask me to sing or dance. This makes me very nervous.
You don't know my second question.
Listen, if I had a crystal ball for a lot of the questions I'm asked, I could answer it. I don't know. I think, it depends. There's so many variables that affect this, right? It's the show itself. Again, it's the timing. So the first year it did very well for the first year. And I think the second year probably did not do as well because they did the same show. I wasn't in favor of that, to be honest with you, just to put it out there. I thought, let's do a different show because people saw it. You could saturate the market and they don't want to see it again. So I don't know the answer to that. I would hope sooner than later would be the answer.
And just as a follow-up, when we were in the finance committee, Dimitri mentioned that part of the problem was higher increase of kids, and some parents are treating it as a drop-off. Is it a volunteer issue? Are there not enough volunteers? That he had to hire someone for the extra money?
Well, I suppose that was an extra expense. I don't know the details to that degree, but there were a lot of kids on the show, and that was what was great about it too, because as Nikki said, you went from kids from 5 years old and people up to 70 or 80 years old in the program. So it was inclusive for the community. So, but with that comes, issues that you have to watch the kids.
Yeah. Do you know how many kids off the top of your hand, ballpark?
Is it in there?
Go ahead, Ms.
Just,
Isaac.
I think it was volunteer. They didn't pay anybody. And for this year, they had 29 kids, and so they paid $2,000. So participation was for the kids to offset.
So 29 kids, each one paid $2,000 to be a part of this?
No, 75.
Okay.
They didn't charge the adults for the theater, but they did charge the kids. And I
There
believe they
were
had
more
volunteers.
kids the first year on the show
Yeah.
than there were the second year.
Oh, interesting. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mr. Foreman?
So in listening to the discussion about the softening of demand due to the duplication of the process and this funding gap of $13,000 or in the red from last year, it occurs to me that there's maybe an opportunity for us to meet in the middle on this $25,000 reduction and maybe cut that in half and reduce just 12.5, narrowing the gap with the hopes that the cost savings and the changes that they're making to the program and the like could be beneficial to that degree. I don't know how we make that motion, but that's a point of view that I think could happen.
Well, we can do it a couple different ways. We have the motion on the floor. It could be amended if the mover so wishes. If she does not, then we would vote on that, and we can take up a second motion.
I would just.
Wait.
Oh, who's waiting? I think that's Kevin. Oh.
Mr. Shiver?
Mr. Chairman? Yes, thank you. I guess my take on this is it just seems like it's a little nickel and diming at this early stage. I mean, if we were 5 years into this and we were continuing to see declining, revenues or declining successes, I mean, I could kind of see that. For me, it just seems so early to kind of pull the plug on $12,500 or whatever we're talking about here in this budget. I agree that we need to be as tight as we can with our budgets and tighten our belts as much as possible. I just see this as something that if we do it right the first time, we can really grow it into something that not only could be self-sustaining, but could really be a true growing benefit. I'd rather do it right the first time rather than just kind of starve them to the point of failure. So that would be my take on it.
Thank you, Mr. Shively. Mr. Mecca?
Do we know, thank you, Mr. Chair. Do we know if, I know it's still early, but what they're planning to do differently that could potentially prevent this? That is a busy time of year with all kinds of commitments. And I believe, again, because of the way Thanksgiving falls, there's one less weekend again between the two major holidays, which compresses things and probably was another barrier.
Yeah, so we've had a preliminary meeting for the next production, and there is some discussion of trying to find a different location for the show, just because that would give us more flexibility time-wise as to when the show could happen. So, again, we're just in the beginning stages of talking about that. They're not doing the same show again, so that hopefully will boost ticket sales. There was some savings, as Mary said, because if they did the same show, they didn't have to buy the rights again, and they didn't have to build another set. So there were other reasons why that they wanted to do that show again. So, but again, we're just talking about other ways to boost sales and get more participation even from the public in the show.
Ms. Sather.
As a theater mom, that just shelled out a lot of money to support my child's show in her school, it's not really a profit-making venture. And so my concern is that we're going to keep, because you have to buy the rights, you have to build the sets, we have to pay childcare. I don't believe those people were volunteers. I believe they were paid to watch those children. I believe that's what the, her name escapes me, Dimitri's assistant said at the finance committee. So those individuals were paid. I'm just nervous that we're going to add to the budget. And not that there's plenty of theater around. It is not community theater, but there is plenty of theater, just like there are plenty of sports that are paid to play, like people pay to be a part of them. So that's my concern, is that and Trumbull High has extraordinary theater productions. That program is amazing. They do a wonderful job. So I don't think there's a shortage of talent and opportunities for the young students of Trumbull's schools. There's lots of private organizations around town that provide for, and I get it that seniors and children, and I fully appreciate and understand the beauty of that, but I just worry that this is going to be a continual expense, which I believe it was started out with ARPA funds with the hope that it would be sustained. And that's my biggest concern, is that it's just never going to be a profit-making venture. It's not really, that's my concern.
Thank you, Ms. Hatton.
When we voted on ARPA funds, that was considered seed money. I mean, that's what that was. So seed money is to plant, right, grow. So I think.
They also didn't use the ARPA. They didn't have the seed money.
So they started out with no ARPA funds.
Well, there was ARPA funds dedicated to the community theater, but those were used for, as ARPA funds should have been used for one-time expenses. So that's the way the money, I think there's something left in that account? It's just a small amount left. So it was never meant to pay for, the ongoing expenses of the theater. No. So, and I would just say, just to be honest with everyone, yeah, I was a theater mom too, and that provides, just like any other activity. For some people, it's life-changing events for them. I'm sure it was for your child, right? Yeah. So, and as people, get older in their communities and they work, You know, a lot of people obviously work full-time. They don't have time really to participate in regular community theater activities. So this really gives people in our town, that we have so much talent in this town with our children and adults, and it just gives people an opportunity to be able to share that talent with people, because especially theater people love to share their talents, right? So that's what this really is all about. It's about a sense of community.
Mr. Shively.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would just like to add one last thing. One of the things that we do with these votes is that we send a message to the community of what our priorities are and what we believe in. And if we start cutting things like this or holding back in very small areas like this, we're sending that message to the community of what we value and what we don't value. And I just want people to consider that before they vote.
Thank you, Mr. Shively. Is there any other comment on the motion? Motion on the floor is to add back 25,000. Ms. Isaac?
In reading the room, can I amend my motion to increase to 13,000 versus 25?
You can.
Did I do that correctly?
Yes, you did. Is there a second?
Second.
A discussion on the motion as amended to add $13,000 to the line item. All right, hearing none, I'll take a vote. Can we adopt it by unanimous consent, or do you need a roll call? Mr. Shively, you're in. Is there any objection?
No objection.
No objections. Okay. Motion carries. 13,000 is added. So let's see, we have a new total for parks.
The total is $3,882,705.
Thank you very much. Next section is tree warden. No motions there, so we have a total for recreation and parks. It's changed.
$4,210,882.
All right, thank you. Next section is debt service. I don't think there's anything we can do with that except pay it. All right, takes us to the general fund total, but we need to go back to employee benefits. Maria, can you help us with that?
There was no changes. You could go almost to the first page. Employee benefits is the department is 0113400, no change. So that stays at 21,612,583.
Okay, so our total general fund then is,
Now total general government, which is the bottom of 01s, is 29,754,342. There was an increase of the 40,750.
correct. As long as our clerk has that, we're in good shape.
And now you can vote on the general fund.
Okay, so let's vote on the total of the general fund. Do we need a roll call, or are we doing that by unanimous consent? Is there any objection? Mr. Shively, you're
No
good?
objection.
All
No
right,
objection.
so the general fund, the general government is adopted.
211,017,914. It's an increase of 53,750.
All right, so that general fund total you just heard, can we approve that by unanimous consent? Is there any objection? Mr. Shively?
No objection.
No
No
objection,
objection.
okay. It's adopted by unanimous consent. We'll now go to enterprise funds. First one is the sewer fund, WPCA, $11,103,822. Any changes on that? All right. Second is Tashua Knowles Enterprise Fund. I don't even see that. The total is $14,142,663. Any motions on that? All right, can we approve that total by unanimous consent? Any objections? Mr. Shively, you good with that? Okay, thank you. All right, total,
Grand total.
I did the grand total, didn't I?
No, grand
Oh,
total.
the very grand total. All right, what is that number, Maria?
225,160,577. 577.
That's a big number. Are we going to adopt that by unanimous consent? Where we are not. Okay, so let's do a roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Mike Buswell,
Yes.
Mary Isaac,
Yes.
Michael Colohan,
Yes.
Bill Mecca,
Yes.
Ann Sather,
Yes.
Jennifer Winchell,
Yes.
Veronica Lenzen,
Yes.
Richard Wolf,
Yes.
Jason Marsh,
Yes.
Anthony Dorsey,
Yes.
Ashley Gaudiano,
Yes.
Carl Massaro, John Foreman,
Yes.
Joe Pifko,
Yes.
Scott Wick,
Yes.
Steve Lemoyne,
Yes.
Tony Cinto, Kevin Shively,
Yes.
and Nicole Satin.
Yes.
I would declare the budget adopted. Frog in my throat, it's hard for me to say that, it's a lot of money. But I want to thank Maria, the Finance Department, our first selectman, the Board of Finance, all our council members. It's a deep dive every year, and people do their best to appropriate for the best purposes and for the best people who live in the state of Connecticut. So we thank everybody. And I think if there's any further business on the budget? No? Have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, second. All in favor? Anybody opposed? All right, thank you all for coming out tonight. Happy Memorial Day.